Hello, welcome to
The Real Bit Wars.
I'm Chris, and once again, I'm going to show off all my pickups for everybody. So recently, my local library had a sale. They do that every so often. I went to one maybe a few years ago, decided to check it out again. And there's all sorts of stuff in there, including video games, movies, music, and of course, books. But I got a nice pile of stuff for extremely cheap that I'm pretty excited about. First, one thing I do have, I haven't done this in a while, but I like to share with you games that I have recently beat. I picked this up at the Midwest Gaming Classic recently, and Mr. Do for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, this is one of those arcade maze style games. It has 100 levels. And not only that, it's the same 10 levels 10 times at these increased increments of difficulty. So I beat it on easy. I went through all 100 levels. There was no ending. It just threw me right back at level 1, which was disappointing. So I said, I'm going to do this again. And I put it on the most difficult setting. Same thing. So I can't really recommend to sit there and play through this for 100 levels when it's so repetitive like that. But hey, I'm going to call this beat. I took care of all 100 levels twice. At the same time, I'm kind of itching for more of this because I enjoyed it. So I know there are, I believe, 2 of them on the 2600, which are not necessarily the cheapest games, at least the second one, I believe. There's also one on the Game Boy. So I'll be on the lookout for any other ports of Mr. Do. Definitely check those out in the future. But hey, I beat a game. It's been a while. After that book sale, my wife didn't really find much. So she was sort of itching to go somewhere else. We went to one of our local Goodwills, and I found a couple of video games there. And I've been saying for a while now, keep your eyes peeled because the games are showing up at Goodwill again. So both of these, the discs are in really good shape. The case is, like for this one, a little scuffed up, but that's not such a big deal. Austin Powers Pinball for $2, I couldn't resist. So I'm sure this is probably not the greatest thing, but I do like video pinball games for what's that, you know. So I believe there were 3 Austin Powers games total. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I have one other one for the Game Boy Color, and I believe there were 2 on the Game Boy Color. So I figured while I'm at it, now that I have this, I'll probably just go for the complete trilogy. These movies were loads of fun back in the day. When I revisit them now, they definitely feel like a product of their time, though. They're just sort of these relics of the past. They're not really that entertaining to go revisit, but still, $2 for a PS1 game. And then this, PC game, Star Wars TIE Fighter. Yeah, so it says here, the sequel to X-Wing. And then we got, was it Grand Admiral Thrawn? Is that what they call him? But Thrawn, if you've never checked out the Thrawn trilogy of books, those are fantastic. I really like that character because those books are so good. Again, this disc was in really nice shape. At one point, I was going after every Star Wars video game there is. But I don't have modern consoles, and there are still tons of Star Wars games coming out. So I sort of have like a cutoff point for that, which would be like around the Wii when that came out. But everything then and prior to that, I'm going for every Star Wars game. So this was one I was missing, and it was cool to find it at the thrift store. Okay, so first I'll go over the movies that I got at the book sale. Terminator Dark Fate, not great, but it was the only Terminator movie that I did not yet have on DVD, so I went for that. And I've mentioned previously, but if you haven't heard, trying to complete that Schwarzenegger set. I pretty much just need his more recent stuff. I have all the older ones. I've never seen this, but we got Robin Williams, The World According to Garp. This is a Warner Archives release. These are like made to order. You have to like specially order these. So to see it at this book sale for dirt cheap, I couldn't resist. I do like Robin Williams, but I don't know. I don't have the highest expectations for this. But from what it sounds, it's a comedy and it's rated R, which is kind of weird for like an 80s movie. I think this is 82. So yeah, I'll check that out. Then I'm already thinking about October. I'm stocking up on horror movies to watch for the Halloween season. We got Malignant, James Wan. I have not yet seen this. From what I understand, most of the reviews I've seen say it's pretty good, so hopefully it is. Usually he does not disappoint. Good director, so looking forward to checking that out. And this here, I had never even heard of it. Yuma, I don't even know how to say that. Looks interesting, kind of had mixed reviews. I looked it up while I was there, set it back down, and eventually I was like, you know what, it's so cheap, why the heck not? I'll just get it. But it says something here about Korea, and I know South Korea has like an amazing horror scene going on. So even if it's not an actual Korean movie, it could be like a American one, just starring the Korean actress. Either way, that piqued my interest, so I'm going to check this out. It's coming October. And then this one, this is kind of like Austin Powers. These are a product of their time, but I'm going after the complete series here. Scary Movie 5. I just want to revisit them. I'm probably going to do that leading up to October. I don't know if I want to waste time during Halloween month watching this stuff, but yeah, in recent weeks, I've been trying to acquire the entire series. I think now I have 1, 2, 3, and 5. So I just need 4, and that'll complete the set. But yeah, I started rewatching them on TV, and they were censored, and I just didn't do it justice. So I gave that up right away. I said I'm going to get the DVDs and kind of binge watch all 5 of them. And we got some music stuff here. We got Ice Cube, Everything's Corrupt. So this is his most recent solo album. And again, so cheap. I don't really have a lot of his more recent stuff. I just have his older stuff, but for that price, I couldn't resist it. And then this is essentially just a loose disc, because it's A$AP Rock, The Impossible Kid. It's in a printed library sleeve, but that's the official CD in there. I have this on vinyl. I had been wanting to like download it, burn it onto a CD, and leave it in my vehicle so I can listen to it, because I just want it on the go, because I really love this album. That's essentially what I got here, is a loose disc to put in my car. Yeah, and then my wife found this, and she walked over while we were looking through the DVDs, and I was like, oh yeah, that's coming home with me. Beats, Rhyme, and Life. The Travels of a Tribe Called Quest. Oh yeah. One of my favorite groups ever. I believe this is just a documentary about them. Awesome. I've been looking for this for quite some time. It's one of those, it's a little expensive to pick up online, so I forget what the movies were, $1? I think $1 each, so yeah. $1 for that. And then a book that is music related as well. This has a long title, man. Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, the untold story of Wu-Tang Clan's $1 million secret album, the devaluation of music, and America's new public enemy #1. Again, I picked this up and set it back down a couple times. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this to myself, but I like Wu-Tang Clan, and I think this would probably be right up my alley. So I went ahead and got it. If you don't know the story behind this, myself and many other Wu-Tang fans, I'm only more so into that earlier stuff. The earlier group albums and solo projects that they did. Since then, I've kind of lost interest. But they recorded an album that was supposed to be like a return to form for their earlier content. And they only made 1 copy. And they auctioned it off. And there's this stipulation where it cannot be released to the public for 100 years. So all members of the group and all current fans are all going to be long gone by the time that happens. Why they decided to do that, I will never know. But they did. And the auction, the album was sold to a guy who was a collector, not a fan. So it's not some Wu-Tang super fan that gets this album. It's some guy that's like being greedy and keeping it to himself. I forget his name. I watched a documentary about the whole thing. And it turns out he's into some legal battles and all this other stuff. Guy's kind of up to no good. So that is going to tie it up even further. So people are kind of clamoring for them to do away with the whole thing and just get this out there, even if it's just digital or something. We'll see if it ever happens. But I really want to hear this album. I don't know if reading a book is going to help matters at all for me. But yeah, I got it. And then this, one final thing. Had I known this existed, I would have picked it up a long time ago because I am a big fan of Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. But this is, the secrets of Shadows of the Empire here. It's basically like they published the concept art of this. So you can see here, like, if you've never heard of Shishor, kind of the big villain of the book. And we got Dash Rendar. So this takes place in between Empire and Jedi. So Han Solo is frozen in carbonite. They made Dash Rendar as like a replacement sort of smuggler character for this. But yeah, this Shadows of the Empire was like a project they did to see if there was still interest in Star Wars, because this is prior to the prequels. They had not done the special, what do you call it? Special editions? Brain fart, whatever, the versions of Star Wars with the new content when they re-released them. So they did Shadows of the Empire, which was a novel, a Nintendo 64 game, and a comic book adaptation of the novel as well, to see if people still like Star Wars enough to garner any kind of new material. It was sort of this proving ground, which then led to them expanding the film series. Yeah. This is really weird. I'm pretty sure this was a paperback, and they scanned it and like made their own hardcover. This looks like a bootleg, but again, that sale, everything was so darn cheap. I couldn't resist. And like I said, yeah, I would have picked this up ages ago had I already known about it. But I'm kind of excited to actually, flip through this and check it out. I don't want to collect Star Wars things as a whole, but I've always thought it would be kind of fun to own everything Shadows of the Empire related. I know there's like some toys and micro machines and things like that, which I'm not a toy collector, but I think I would make an exception for those probably. But yeah, some cool pickups today at the library of all places. But yeah, thank you for watching The Real Bit Wars, and we'll see you next time.